Okay, so we've got the wiring ran earthed out down there, a little bit of cable management to tidy it up, but we've just got the controller down here so I can show you how to do the first purge. We've got a couple of litres of diesel in the tank, that's about 2-ish litres, 2.5 maybe. Just what I grabbed out of the jerry can to test it. Now, we'll set up so we can see if it's leaking or not, which is cool. Got an exhaust mounted down off the factory exhaust so it blows past the bumper. Now, what we're going to do for the first time is purge it. We should be able to run this pretty much straight off just this remote and just have this as an on-off remote. And I'll 3D print a little holder for this, or maybe even just clip it up inside the van. But there's our little remote. A little remote literally just instantly on, off, and up and down. But to purge this system, what we need to do. Alright, time has come. We're installing the Maxspeedingrods 2 kilowatt diesel heater that they sent me. These legends here. Don't forget to use the code ONEUP, ONEUP, for 15% off on their website. Go and have a look at their website. They got all kinds of cool goodies. Anyway, they graciously sent me this cool little 2 kilowatt diesel heater to go in the motorhome. First thing you do is cut out a decent spot in the floor that your cover plate will still cover. You want to get a bit of gap around these two ports because this exhaust one does get hot. If you wanted to, you could poke a like a turret through there, like a pop, like a gutter pop. But this was only 2 holes previously, and this was fine. So we're going to run with that. First thing you need to do is get your plate on the bottom like so. And we've got these double studs. They need to go one side into the heater. Got a rubber gasket under there, so they're a little bit hard to start, but that's good because there's a big rubber silicone gasket thing under there. It's obviously heat proof because it's wrapped around the exhaust. We want to get them on there first. Hopefully the diesel heater in the background's not too noisy and annoying. I've got my shed one going at the moment. I'll show you that in a minute. The next thing you want to do is get your 4 nuts, do them down onto your build plate, talking 3D printer stuff there, onto your base plate. We'll do them up. Okay, next thing you want to do is get your exhaust pipe and your intake pipe and get them mounted up on your unit. Do up your hose clamps. Which is definitely a 2-hand job. Okay, you're then also going to want to route your fuel hose where it's going. In our situation, I've got a hole there. We're going to come back up to connect to the fuel tank, which is going to be mounted in here beside the unit. Keeping in mind most of the heat is at the base of it and at the outlet, which will go that way. So we can then test fit it. Once we test fit it, we'll apply a bead of silicone sealant around the body of this build plate to seal it down to the floor. And we put our 4 screws in the outsides of it. So we'll do that now. Okay, then something like that. So it seals to the floor. Be mindful that you want to pull your hose as you put the unit down. These ones are great. The wiring loom doesn't have to go through the build plate. Some of them, the wiring loom comes out the bottom. This one goes in the side. Very cool. Righto, I'll sit that in position and I'll come back. Okay, you'll then have the unit mounted down to its base plate like so. Next thing we need to work on is our fuel tank. Sorry about that. So, is it that? Slide is it causing it? It's the head torch. head torch is pulse width, sorry. Right, so we've got these 3 mounting points here, which go through, and we're going to screw to that piece of fiberglass there. Screw through here. This is our little 10 litre tank, and we're going to take our outlet for that just out of this side. So we're never going to get full capacity out of our 10 litre tank, but I also don't want the fuel to be straight down through the floor off the bottom of this tank. So we're going to go through here. Now the fitting they give you to do that is this internal fitting. It's got a little groove there for an O-ring. You put this piece in the tank and you put this piece on from the outside after drilling a hole. We need to drill a hole that kind of size, and we have a hole saw arbor here somewhere, so you want to be sure you know where you're going, and we're going to put our hole right there. So the next trick is you want to get yourself a piece of copper wire or similar. Now with your bit of copper wire, you can either put this on to begin with and then feed it down through the tank, or you can feed the bit of copper wire down until you can get it through the hole, whatever suits you most. I'm going to try and show you how I do this. Yeah, maybe. You might be able to see what's going on. Okay. We'll feed a bit of copper wire down the tank. Another good wire for this application is a bit of MIG welding wire. Okay, we're right at the hole, and we just pop through the hole. See that? That's how long it should take. That's how easy it is. So we get out, that's our inside piece, so we grab our inside piece. We now thread that down a piece of cable. Put the pressure on myself here. Doing it in one go without cutting the camera. Okay, slide that on the end of your bit of copper cable, and then fold the bit of copper cable over a bit. It should stop you from losing it as you go through the tank. You then want to go through the tank like such. Then we grab our outer nut and washer. Hang on to your bit of copper and feed that up the nut. Clean the burrs and dags off. So your O-ring's got something to seat on, which I should have done before I put that through there. You then want to feed your O-ring on and your nut on as you go, without pulling on your copper cable too hard, because your copper cable, the reason we use copper is because it will actually pull straight and stretch through. Roll that O-ring up as far as, oh, we lost the nut. Roll that O-ring all the way up, so it's out of your way, like that. Find the nut that rolled away, there it is. Run the nut the right way back up the cable, and there we are. Thread the nut on, pull the copper out, see? Pull straight, you got your fitting in the bottom. Need something to do that up with, we'll do that up and I'll come back. Okay then, now we got the tank mounted, so we just basically feed a screw through there. I've stuck silicone across the top of this one and down the bottom as vibration resistance as well, so that once that's all sealed, that'll be nice and solid. It's got nowhere to go. Next thing, let's have a look at our fuel pump and filter setup. So in our Maxspeedingrods kit, we have a inline fuel filter and an inline fuel pump and fuel pump bracket that we need to get together. It's also our fuel cap for our tank, like so. So what we need to do now is on this pump, it shows you which direction it needs to go. As you can see, got an arrow above the 12 volts there. So this needs to go that way towards the heater. We're going to put a fuel filter in line first, and then we'll put this in. So let's slip this little buddy in its bracket. Okay, and you want to go and mount it in the upright position like so. Upright or 45 degrees facing upright. And then you've got this little fuel filter. So with our fuel filter, what we want to do is have the big side facing the fuel source and the blue tip side facing the pump here. So we will need to use a couple of little clips to hold that all tight and tidy in there, but you get the general idea. We'll also need to make sure that this line under the vehicle is suitably cable tied or similar away from the vehicle's exhaust system and the exhaust of this heater. Next thing we want to have a look at is our wiring loom and our ducting. Okay, so we've got the wiring ran earthed out down there, a little bit of cable management to tidy it up, but we've just got the controller down here so I can show you how to do the first purge. We've got a couple of litres of diesel in the tank, that's about 2-ish litres, 2.5 maybe. Just what I grabbed out of the jerry can to test it. Now, all set up so we can see if it's leaking or not, which is cool. Got our exhaust mounted down off the factory exhaust so it blows past the bumper. Now, what we're going to do for the first time is purge it. We should be able to run this pretty much straight off just this remote and just have this as an on-off remote. And I'll 3D print a little holder for this, or maybe even just clip it up inside the van. But there's our little remote. A little remote literally just instantly on, off, and up and down. But to purge this system, what we need to do is hold. Okay, with the heater off, you press the OK and down button, and then you press the up button. This is going to manually activate our pump for a bit. The reason we're doing this is to try and push all that air out of these lines. So as you can see, we've sucked a solid line from there to there. We've now got to fill up the filter. Once we fill up the filter, the loop will fill up. That'll then get to the pump, and then the pump will run up. As you can see, there's already some up in the pump coming through it, so the pump is lubricated, so that's good news. We might have to do this a couple of times, cycle it a couple of times, but I'll give you an idea of how many times that took when I come back. You start to see a nice solid pile come out of the fuel filter there. See it priming up the hose. We will eventually see that get all the way to the underside of the heater, and we'll know we're all the way there. Once we get all the way to the heater, then we can try and fire it up and see if the glow plug will take over and away it'll go. As you can see, we've still got fluid bouncing through the pump, so the pump is lubricated. It's not actually doing anything nasty to the pump at this point. Nicely starting to build up on the outlet of the pump. So this is only the second time I've put it on pulse mode, and away it's going. Ignore the water that that come out of the exhaust had the engine running before. We've got our first fire up going on right now. Alright, try again. That was only the first time. I'll blow out the combustion chamber first. It's always its first step. It'll apply some airflow. After it applies some airflow, it'll turn on the glow plug. It smells. That's fresh oil. Oily, diesely mixture in there for the first time. Doesn't take long for them to get going though. Once it burns that out, we'll be laughing. So it will be heating the glow plug up right now. This is when it pulls the most power it'll pull. The thing to look for will be the pump. There might be enough fuel in the chamber for the glow plug to actually get hot enough to fire the unit before the fuel pump starts, but a lot of the time it'll require the fuel pump to start first. We've got it on the highest setting, which is 3 Hertz. Pulling down to 11.3. We only got about 12 point something, 12.3 in the battery at the moment. Had a lot of lights on and everything. The fridge going. Here's our fuel pump. There's your pulse of the fuel pump. As you can hear, we get a burn. Still quite a bit of air in the line. It'll take a little bit of time for that to work its way out, but it doesn't matter. I'm happy to run it for as long as I need to run it to do so. First fire up is always a bit of a smoky one, but it'll come too. I'll come back when it's running. Won't be too long at all now. Every pump it still sits there and is making a burn every pump, so that's a very good sign. Fired straight up with no hassle so far, so it's always good when you hear that burning sound the first time. It's very nice. We'll come back in a sec. We've obviously gained plenty of temperature now. The fan's up to full speed and the pump's sped up as well. Here the clicking's increased. Glow plug is also off. Fairly steady stream of heat out of there. Pump's really kicked in the high gear now. Trying to get this burn going. Wow, that is some good fan speed. hot air is flowing. Got beautiful hot air flowing out of there already. Alright, I'll go get some more fuel for it and I'll be back. Alright then, so there's our install. We've got our 10 litre tank nice and full in there now. Got a duct just facing this way as our air intake for the box here itself. We've got a duct facing up and out that way. It just snaps in and out wherever you want it to go. Our controller's up that end now. We don't actually need that to be visible anymore because we've got this. We can just physically just press and hold in the on button and away this will fire up. Hear the airflow already? Obviously it'll go through the motions, do its glow plug thing, and away it goes. So I'll get in the van here with it going and we'll see how quiet it is. So when you start it with the remote, whatever setting you left it on is what it'll start at. So it's at 3 Hertz. Just starting to pulse the fuel pump now. See, I'm glad we restarted this, or the air's not out of line yet. Hear the hum. Once all the air's out of the line in these systems, they're a lot happier. I need to 3D print a little holder for this thing. We can put it somewhere up here. Nice and safe. We don't want to put it on the actual keyring just for the sake of, in case it possibly gets activated. You don't want to be thinking you're locking up your van to go somewhere and then you accidentally press the power button for the diesel heater and run it for 3 hours while you're gone. It's been about 30 seconds. Hear it really starting to get its whistle on out there now. As soon as that pulse gets up, it means that you've got more of a stable fuel flow. Normally you have your bed set up on top of this, so you're not going to have all that much noise. And just like that, away it goes. That duct's just ploughing out beautiful warm air. This whole system's just hiding down in there. The 2 kilowatt option is definitely a great option for this size of van. If you use my affiliate code on Maxspeedingrods website, not only do you get 15% off, you never know, they might send me something else. Thanks for watching. I'll have some temperature tests in the next couple of days. I'll wait for a frosty morning and have it not in the shed, and we'll stick it outside and run it. We may even do a fuel economy test or something along those lines as well. Might just fire it up and run 5 litres through it just so I know it's ready to go for the hirers. But yeah, that's her. This has been a fun little project. It's going to make the motorhome a lot more usable in the cold months, and yeah, be fun to go camping in. Thanks heaps for watching. Catch us on the next video.